Everyone always talks about Windows XP, but what if I told you it wasn't the most important Windows release of its time? The real unsung hero, the operating system that quietly built the foundation for modern Windows, was Windows 2000. It's the reason our PCs today are as stable and secure as they are. So what exactly was Windows 2000? Unlike Windows 98 or me, it wasn't made for casual home users playing games. It was built on the powerful Windows NT kernel and was designed from the ground up for professionals, businesses, and servers. This is where stability, security, and true multitasking finally became the standard for the Windows platform, ending the era of constant blue screens of death. Released in February 2000, it set a new bar for what a serious operating system could do. Now, for those of you who are a bit more advanced, you'll know it wasn't just one product. Windows 2000 actually came in 4 distinct editions, each with a specific purpose. First, you had Windows 2000 Professional. This was the desktop version, designed for workstations and power users who needed reliability. Then you had Server, which was the backbone for small to medium businesses, handling things like file sharing and domain control. Stepping up from that was Advanced Server, which introduced features like network load balancing and clustering for more demanding applications. And at the very top was Data Center Server, a beast built for massive, enterprise-level hardware. For most people, Professional and Server were the two they were most likely to encounter. If you're an intermediate user, this next part really matters. Windows 2000 was the OS that truly pushed the NTFS file system into the mainstream. And guess what? NTFS is still the standard file system Windows uses today, over 2 decades later. Why was it so much better than the old FAT32 system? For starters, it introduced granular file permissions with access control lists, so you could decide exactly who could read, write, or execute a file. It also had built-in file compression to save disk space, disk quotas to limit how much space a user could take up, and far superior crash recovery, making data loss much less likely. For any serious work, NTFS was a game-changer. But the single biggest innovation, the one that truly changed the world of IT forever, was the introduction of Active Directory. This was huge. Before Windows 2000, if you were a system administrator, you had to manage user accounts and permissions on every single computer, one by one. Active Directory changed all of that. It provided a centralized directory service, allowing admins to manage thousands of users, computers, and policies from a single location. User accounts, group policies, domain logins, it all became streamlined. Modern corporate IT really does start right here. And let's talk about stability. Compared to its consumer-focused cousin, Windows 98, Windows 2000 almost never crashed. This was thanks to its NT architecture. It used protected memory, which meant a single misbehaving application couldn't bring down the entire system. It had true preemptive multitasking, allowing the OS to manage system resources much more effectively. And it used a hardware abstraction layer, or HAL, which made it far more compatible with different types of hardware without needing constant driver updates. It was a tank. So, why does any of this still matter today? Because if you understand the core principles of Windows 2000, modern versions of Windows suddenly make a lot more sense. The NT kernel that powered Windows 2000 is the direct ancestor of the kernel in Windows 10 and Windows 11. Active Directory is still the backbone of countless corporate networks around the globe, and NTFS remains the standard file system. Windows 2000 may look a bit dated, but its impact is undeniable. It might not have had the flashy visuals of XP, but Windows 2000 quietly built the reliable, secure, and manageable foundation that we all depend on today. It was the professional's choice, and its legacy is everywhere. If you enjoyed this deep dive and want to see more content on classic tech, like maybe installing Windows 2000 on vintage hardware or comparing it directly against XP, make sure you subscribe and let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.